What's going on, guys? So we're back again with another gameplay video. This time we have Michael Sidoti here on the left playing Cell, and we have Perth Pro Players team member Michael Paxton, who is myself, here on the right playing U7 Goku. So just before we get started into the gameplay video, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, Team Card Titan. So if you guys want any DBS Seal products or DBS singles, make sure you check out that link in the description below. Now, look, both of these decks, this was a little bit of an older game. So U7 wasn't as fresh, but Cell was probably a couple of weeks out at this point. It's just a really good game. I haven't had time to commentate over, so I thought we'd give it a go now because we've got a little bit of time. So both decks are really, really fun. They're the two decks I have built at the moment. I really enjoy Cell and I really enjoy U7. Obviously, Cell's turn 5 gameplay, right? That's the time for a win for them, really, is just to go, push it out, clear your hand, kill you with a quad strike. U7, mine's more about like the big boss monster time, right? So this was before Baby Unison's out. So Durin's the Unison of choice. And what we do is we go into the big SS4 Broly SCR is kind of the idea of this deck. It's really, really, really fun. I feel like the boss monster in this deck is absolutely incredible. So really enjoyable. I think this is the time I was also testing for like the UW Cup as well. It's not exactly perfect probably for that time. Side and everything like that comes in, changes things up a little bit for what we need. So this is going to be interesting, but we have hit the Android. We are grabbing something off the top with the effect, and then we're also getting the bottom deck and the draw. So the main thing against Cell obviously is not putting something out on your turn 1, so they can't just KO it really easily if you want to get value out of it. However, the good thing here is he got 2 underneath, so he's easily going to be able to awaken this next turn. He'll have the 3 underneath quite comfortably, so that's perfect for him. And then he'll have his crit as well. Now, what we've got here is obviously we want to search for everything first, right? So we want to be able to go through everything, find exactly what we need. Combo this off the board, and the reason I'm playing this first is to see what cards I have in hand, and then get a possible good target to pitch. Now, unfortunately, that was all extra cards and an Android 17 just there. Usually, I would probably play the Gohan after. I would usually just get the draw first off the Goku and then play the Gohan after. Only reason I'm playing it this way is because I want to combo it off so he doesn't just get a free KO. And then it goes in my drop anyway, but it's more value for me. He's not just going to defend out of it or anything like that. Plus, he's not going to be able to play a Cell for free, right, off the KO. But we will go for the combo and draw first, why not? And then combo this off anyway. So 2 in the drop, and then we're going to get our mill next, and we'll see what happens. So we get 1, unfortunately 1, 2. We got a super combo, draw. So we have got 4 in there, and that gives us a 5 just there, which is quite comfortable. So very easy to early awaken if we need to. Usually aim for around turn 3 if we can, because I think that's the best time for this deck, or the way that I play it is around turn 3 is the best time to awaken. So passing back over to Cell just here. Now, what we want on this turn is he wants to be able to establish Unison, play out a Cell as well, right? So then he can get his double draw off the effect. So fingers crossed he can put a 17 and an 18 in the drop, which I believe there's a 17 and 18 underneath quite easily, which is perfect. So we are going to hit the Vegito Unison, which is exactly what we want. I would have been surprised if we charged a Vegito Unison turn 1 and we didn't have another one to back it up, because this is the best turn 2 play, right? So we want to draw 1, untap 1, and then take life down to 5, right? Which is perfect. Really sweet spot as well to kind of protect that Unison, because if you do have homicidal clones in hand, you're already at the point where as soon as you put this down, you can pretty much protect it with the homicidal clones, which is perfect. So we are going to pitch a 17, and we're going to pitch a 17-18 from underneath. So we're going to gain the critical on the 5k, right? Perfect thing here as well is we have set up a Cell, right? And that's exactly what we want. We want to be able to set up a Cell, so that way we can go straight into it and start drawing as much as possible and just getting through our deck. So we're going to tuck another card underneath, which is an 8-drop Cell, and we're going to draw our 2 cards just here. Obviously, crit at this point, 20k. I'm happy just to take it. Hopefully, it's another U7. Unfortunately, during Unison, It is what it is, but at least it is like it's something, you know what I mean? I'd rather just get the crit and that's fine. It's not the end of the world. So we're going to play this guy in rest mode because he has a Unison in play and he has no other battle cards. We're going to take this underneath and then hopefully we got a 4-drop in the deck. Fingers crossed it's not all in our life, right? As you can see, we got Cell Zeno right at the bottom of the deck, just there. It's good to know that it is in the deck as well, though, I feel like a lot of the time, just to make sure, I guess, where it is or if it's in life. I've definitely had it in life and it's been the last life before, and it makes it a little bit harder to close out the game. But if you see it and you can set it up, it's kind of the best win con. It's kind of uninteractable pretty much, which is insane. So we are going to get the draw 2 just there from the Cell into the from the Vegeta and the Cell, and then we're going to put for 1 energy go into the 8 cost just here. Now, only bad thing I guess with going into the 8 cost against red is that if we have the minus effect, it is rather devastating because you obviously don't get the effect of the 8 cost to protect it. Now, unfortunately, Sidoti didn't have an 8 cost in the actual deck, so we do still have barrier on this bad boy, right? Which isn't too bad. Obviously, a little bit extra protection for him is not the end of the world. So, unfortunately, we don't have the 8 cost, but it is what it is, right? We have taken it underneath. Unfortunately, we don't have the opportunity to put it back. It's there now, but it looks like he's got a couple 4 costs in hand as well. So, hopefully, he can get his super combos going so we can bottom deck them as well. Now, we're going to mark up the Unison and probably pass. So back over to U7 just here. Now I think the Android 17s probably would have come in pretty handy. I think definitely now, knowing this matchup a little bit better, very good to kind of be a bit aggro against this deck and force some cards out of hand or like force some damage through. So I definitely think having some of the aggro plays would have been really good. But we are going to minus 15 here. Unfortunately, he does have barrier. I didn't realize at the time that he does have barrier, so it's not as valuable, obviously, to play that out right now. So it's better probably just to go for something like this. Go for the Goten, and we can search. So we can either grab a Saiyan or a Unison with a specified cost of 3, which is what we're kind of digging for, is probably a Unison specified cost of 3. Unfortunately, the only thing we've got is a vanilla, but it gives us a pitch target, which is kind of nice as well. Something to pitch is always good. But yes, definitely that Jiren Unison, very, very important in this matchup. So if we had the Vegeta in hand, I definitely think that would have been a good play there, is to play the Vegeta out. But we are going to swing in once again, get our draw, and then we'll go for our mill after. But we'll combo off our Goten. May as well equal it to 15. So then he has to either give 1 card or take the life, which is taking the life, which is nice for us as well. So we're going to mill our 3 again. We get 2 in there. So we've got the Awaken already. And more than likely, we're just going to pitch one of the vanillas, right, that we've already got in hand, which is kind of perfect. So we should have what we need now in the drop area to Awaken. So next turn, fingers crossed, we find our Jiren, and then we can put it down and get our Awaken going. Unfortunately, obviously, we couldn't get rid of the Cell comfortably in this turn. However, we do have access to other things if needed, but it looks like we're just going to pass turn here. Surprising we didn't go for the Android 17 or something like that, put a bit of extra aggression if we needed into it. So in future, yeah, so now knowing this matchup a bit better, it's probably worth just playing into the 17 and just trying to put a bit of extra aggression in. A double strike's always good at 15 and force him some cards out of hand, right? So he has got 2 underneath, so we can take the 2 from underneath, gain the critical. Now he does actually have an 8 cost he can go into, which is quite nice for him. Hopefully putting another one underneath the leader, right? So he can kind of pitch that next turn. So hopefully you can get 2 under the leader for next turn, so he can do the same thing and do the same effect. And I think this crit on this leader is just great. Like, that's kind of what Cell needed. It always wanted critical. Just to deny the opponent some more resources and put some pressure on. And it's good now that it has to attack rather than just passively sitting there, I think. So we're going to draw 2. Combo off a 18 here, so we do need to put at least 1 in the drop, right? So we can use the effect. Unfortunately, again, a crit, we're just going to take that at 25. We're not going to combo out of that comfortably. So going for the 8 cost, because we know it's in the drop area now, and we did have the 18, which is perfect. So actually about up into the 20 now, which is good. So the big thing here is now it's possible to minus thing, which is quite nice for us as well, because it doesn't have barrier, this one. And that's kind of what we want, is to be able to do something like that. So we're going to swing the 20 in, and we're going to ditch the 4 cost just here. Now, I think Sidoti had quite a few of the 4 cost in hand, unfortunately. I hope he did draw off that union as well from the Vegeto's effect, because that's the ideal thing here. We are going to swing in a 15. Quite comfortably combo it out to a 20 with these super combos. A lot of the time we just grab that back with a leader effect as well, so it's not the end of the world to start burning him. Going for the Android, so hopefully, I'm assuming he's trying to find one of them. Either the Cell Zeno or the 7 cost here is probably what he's trying to dig for a little bit, because we do want to start setting that up in the next 2 turns. We need to set that up, right? If you're not sure or you haven't played the deck before, so the way to set up Cell Zeno is either a 7 cost Cell from underneath the leader off the effect, plus a Freezer, the counterplay Freezer, or you have the 8 cost with a 4 cost, which can either be the free play Goku, or it can be the multicolor Cell, right? So either way, they're the easiest ways to set up your 12 costs for Successor, right? So Sidoti is going to tuck the Android 17 underneath the leader, and the perfect thing is it means we have 2 for next turn. So we do have our crit, and then we should be able to set up our 7 costs underneath. Hopefully we've got that in hand to set up for the next turn, right? Because that's very, very strong. So we're going to turn 3 on U7, right? Now, quite a big turn. Obviously, we're going to get our Awaken, which is exactly what we want to have here. So we are going to do the flip, 3, get a draw, and then a pitch, right? Which I think we got another super combo just then looking at it. Easy thing to pitch is probably those 17s in my left side of the hand, or just a vanilla or something like that. Any of those are fine. Sometimes you do hard cast that 17. It is actually a really, really good card to hard cast, right? Just because it has such a strong effect. When you block, you get to minus something by 15k, which is absolutely huge. It just means you can stop 2 attacks, right? So we are going to minus the Cell here with the effect. So he does have a response if he wants, right? That's the thing. So he can respond possibly if he wanted to. And I've done this on purpose, trying to kind of force that out. Because what we can do is we just minus this guy, which isn't the end of the world, and then we can do something else and start putting a bit more pressure, right? So now we can actually just fully kill, and we want the crit to come through, and we can kill the 2, right? So that was the ideal play there for me. Unfortunately, didn't have the Durin, but we do have a 20k crit body, which is nice for us. Being able to get rid of the cells, perfect, but then also getting the value of hitting the freezer as well is really nice. So he is taking a life here, so forcing that life damage, which I am happy with. That's not a problem. Now, I'm not really focusing the unison too much right now. I'm more focused on going into the leader, but potentially we do have to always keep that unison at a lower markers, because that -7 is absolutely insane next to the Cell, right? That's the scary thing. So obviously it's a block. We do get our draw here. Now, just counting to obviously figure out how much is in there if we need to do any mills or anything like that. So we are going to draw 1, and then we have a choice whether we want to mill or not, right? So there is a potential. And I think we do, and we mill the SCR just there, which is very, very painful. As I said, this is kind of our top end of this deck, right? Like that for free behind the Goku that rips 1 card from hand and has dual attack, double strike is absolutely insane. It just pretty much means the opponent can't play the game. So you're really not losing in that next turn. You can very easily close out the game with that card. So very unfortunate here. Very, very unfortunate. I shouldn't have gone for the mill. I was greedy. I should have just waited until I found the SCR before I start milling. I obviously found that out for future games as well. You got to learn the hard way sometimes and mess up. But it is what it is. Unfortunately, It is just the way it happened that we milled the SCR, so now we have to win just through our 8 costs and little like chip away damages of the 19s and the 20 crits and things like that. So we are going to take 2 from underneath, pop the Vegeta just here. All right, unfortunate. Has a choice to play out a Cell if he wants. We'll see what he decides to do. Having a think. Obviously not going for the Cell just here, but that's fine. We should have our Sparking 20 quite comfortably now. That way we can pick something up if we want, but we also have Goku live if we need to. So turn 4, that play is just absolutely insane, as I said. So being able to go from the 8 cost into the SS4 Broly and just stopping them from comboing is just absolutely huge. So we'll see what happens here now. Sidoti would, I assume, swing in his crit. Now, the nice thing is I have super combos live at this life, right? And the other good thing is probably to protect around this life where possible so that I have safety from the Cell Zeno if he does decide to go for the Cell Zeno. It's a little bit nicer. So what are we going to go? We're going to swing in with 20. We are going to take a life. So we're going down to the 4. So complete opposite of what I was saying. But at the end of the day, we're going down to the 4 and we're going to have our blocker on board. So we'll see what happens here now, because what we have got is obviously dormant on the back end. So you can kind of clean up the tokens and things like that, which is quite nice. And we obviously have some other things that can do some KOs and things like that. So we are going to go for the Cell just here. Hopefully we get at least 1 draw. I don't think we can get the 2, but we can get at least 1 draw. Considering whether we want to do the Vegeta to force him to use another energy just here, which obviously feels like it's worth it. So it's forcing another energy, forcing him to extend a little bit more. Also, he's charged a few cells and we've seen a few cells. So it possibly means that he doesn't really have too many more in hand. So I think it's worth forcing him to either find another one or forcing him to use extra energy, because then he potentially taps down if he wants to go into the cells, right? There's a potential that that could happen. So we are going to draw a card, tuck. Unfortunately, we have not found a 7 drop at this point, right? The 7 cost Cell. Obviously, I saw a couple down the bottom, but we haven't got them yet. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. We're going to tuck 1 underneath again, so we've got our 2 for the next turn if we need. Probably playing out another 17 or something like that along those lines. But it looks like we have got the Cell here. So we have got a Cell, which is nice for him. And this means he can go up into his 4. So as I said, kind of forcing him to extend a little bit more than he would usually want to, right? That's kind of the ideal thing, is like forcing him to overextend if possible. So that way he uses more energy, means he has less energy to defend. So if I can start putting some pressure in, it's going to be beneficial for me in this next turn, right? And I could always go for the 8 cost Goku potentially as well, if we see what we kind of get here going. So I'm going to check through the deck. Always good to have a check. And then we're going to go for the 4 cost. Always good to get a shuffle too, because sometimes that Cell Zeno just sits on the bottom and it never wants you to find it. And you really need it in this deck. It's kind of the best outcome, I would say, for this deck is just that Cell Zeno is absolutely insane. So going into the 4, probably plussing up on the marker here. Maybe swinging Vegeta just to keep a little bit of extra pressure, but doesn't desperately need it here, right? That Vegeta is also very good against like the counter plays that can come down from the opponent, right? It's kind of really, really handy to be able to just stop something and guarantee that a play is going to happen. Unfortunately, once again, this guy does have barrier, so we can't really deal with him too much, but we can deal with the 8 cost a lot easier, I guess. Devastation every time we see the Broly SCR sitting in there, right? Very devastating, but it is what it is. So the mill shouldn't have happened, really, looking back on it. I shouldn't have milled. I should have just left it and then obviously waited, because my drop area would have filled up a little bit more before the next turn if I needed to. So Michael just having to think, deciding if he wants to go any further, if he wants to commit to the 8, which I don't think is the right play at this point. I think you just plus your unison, swing if you really want to. And he is unfortunately going up into higher marker territory too. So potentially we just need to deal with, I guess, with the unison. So make sure it doesn't go too hectic, right? So we are just going to plus it up. Take it up to 8 markers just here. Right now we have found our Jiren unison, which is ideal. Absolutely huge in this matchup too, because pretty much everything is 20k in this deck, you know, outside of like your Cell and your Cell Zeno. But it means we can just deal with a lot of things, and we can also stop his counterplays and things like that from happening, which is huge, right? And having our Videls live is always really, really nice. So probably going to be the play for this turn, I would say, is to go for our Jiren unison, so that way we can kind of put a bit of pressure, but also potentially even control that unison. That's always another good choice. Now we're going to charge the Gohan here, not really needed right now. Don't want to overextend too much going into this next turn for Cell, because it is a little bit scary, of course. But having the Jiren set up as well can deal with your Cell Zeno, right? So you can minus the 10 on the play, and then you can minus the 25 as well. And if you get counterplays and things like that alongside it, like your Videl and your Goku, means you can absolutely just annihilate that card, right? So it doesn't get its full value. And that's the really, really nice thing about that card as well. So it's definitely worth setting up a Jiren unison right now. Just worth getting out onto the board just for the control factor. Plus the double strike is always really nice. And it's probably worth taking a few markers off this unison too. So we're going to go for the plus, take it up to 4. Of course, I think I just probably put 4 markers on it straight away, because we know we're just going to plus it right now. But even if we don't get markers off the unison right this second, it's kind of good to start burning some negates from hand too. So I think we're going to go into our unison, I believe. I'm not 100% here. I pointed kind of in the general direction of both. But we are going to try to start putting some pressure, right? I think it's going to get met with a dormant quite easily, which makes sense, because he probably doesn't want too many swings, but I'm not really going much further this turn, so he made us even homicidal clones just to get the protection. Obviously, we kill it on the play with the Jiren, right, if he does do a homicidal clone, so he does lose the blocker right away. But at the same time, it doesn't have to face down a double strike at this point. So tossing out what he's going to do. Looks like we're just going to go for the extra card, the Cell extra card, and we're going to go for the negate on that card, which is fair enough. Very good card. This is the one that you want for your turn 5. So you have your Cell underneath the leader by turn 4, and you do this by turn 5, and it makes an absolutely huge difference. So we are going to play out our Cell from the drop, and then yes, we'll just kill it straight away, right? And I think Michael's done that probably to get the blocker if need be, right? I think that's probably the choice there. If he feels like he needs the blocker for a bit of extra protection, I completely understand. But definitely worth just getting that Cell off the board, because he was struggling to find one last turn, right? We don't want that hanging around too much just here. So it's good just to clear that Cell off the board, and you lost a card from hand as well. So swinging leader into unison, taking it down to 7 markers, sorry. Which is exactly where it wants to be anyway. So it's not the end of the world, just losing a marker. But we are going to burn a negate here, which makes me feel a little bit better, right? I think definitely burning a negate here feels good on our end. So that way, what we can do is next turn, hopefully, is apply enough pressure that we can kill him at a double strike range. We have got a Jiren on board, plus we can grab our Gokus and things like that, which is really, really nice. So it could be absolutely huge this next turn. Good thing is as well is we've got our Sparking 20, so we can just pick something up from the drop area if we wish. A lot of the times that'll either be a super combo, or you pick up your 8-cost Goku if you need something like that to kind of finish the game. So either one is quite nice. Probably don't want to overextend here. Obviously just having to think to see if there's anything else I want to do and if I want to pick up the thing from the drop. But probably don't want to extend. You want to keep at least 1 energy up, I would say, just so we have a little bit of protection. And that means that we have our Goku counterplay and also like our Videl counterplay, obviously, that's free, but the Goku costs 1, and then you pretty much kill absolutely everything if need be. So we're just going to pass turn here, not picking anything up. More than likely that'll happen in the next turn if we need to. I think I have at least 2 super combos in hand right now as well, which is quite nice. So a little bit of extra protection. Going into turn 5, no cell underneath the leader makes us feel very good, right? So whenever you see no cell under the leader turn 5, it feels quite good, right? It's not as threatening, but very unfortunate here for Michael. Obviously, as a cell player, that's what you want set up pretty much every turn 5. You just want to have that set up underneath so you can just windmill straight into that and then force the damage that way. Now, only downside here as well is he doesn't have Cell Zeno set up with what he's got on the board. Other thing is he doesn't have ability to go into like a freezer or something like that, because Jiren's pretty much just going to kill it as soon as it hits the board. He's going to minus the 10k to keep those numbers off, right? And that's what's very important. So if you're playing against Cell, what you want to try to do is keep them off that 12 number, right? Whether it's killing the 5 cost freezer charismatic villain, or it's getting rid of the 8 costs, right? That's the important thing to do. Whatever your deck can get rid of the easiest, get rid of those cards, okay? Because that's what makes a huge difference here. So, Michael is obviously KOing that blocker, or it's not really a blocker anymore, just a vanilla, but he can KO that. Get rid of it, and then we have got our 15k, and we've obviously got a 20k in crit on the leader just here, which is kind of frustrating every turn. Swinging in 20k is really good every turn, especially when it has critical, means we have to use a super combo to protect, right? So Michael probably has to try to start putting a bit of pressure this turn, so I start using from cards from hand because I have a decent amount of cards in hand. So he needs to start putting some pressure. And whether that means that he goes into some cells so he can dual attack or something like that is probably what he needs to do to try to make it harder for me to kill him next turn, right? Or he just protects himself a hell of a lot. That's the other option. Now, he is going to go, it looks like, the -7. So he gets to look at my life here to take me down to 3. Now we've got a Videl, Android 17, Gohan, and a Vegeta in there, right? Which is rather painful. All those cards quite good, quite handy in their own situations. I definitely think the Videl's a good choice just to get rid of. Now I'm only at 3 life now, which is rather scary as well. So Cell Zeno is obviously live. It was live before, but now it's even more live. And then he can easily just double strike me. So I need to protect against these crits so I don't just start losing all of this, right? I think we do have Rays in this deck, of course. So we do have access to Rays if we swing him with a 20k or something. We do have to discard 3 cards. That 17 is an easy choice at this point. And we're going to keep our Goku in hand so we can minus on play if we need to, which means we can kill a 25k quite easily on play. So just having a look, making sure it's the right choice. Obviously pretty important when people are making a discard to figure out exactly what it is. We don't want to get rid of something that's going to be really important this next turn or this combo right now. Just decide maybe changing our mind on what we're pitching. Obviously we've got our Sparking 20 live, so we're actually going to pitch our 8 cost Goku. And that's because we can pick it up as well, right? So whatever we pitch, pretty much it's U7. Very easy to just pick up going into this next turn. But the freeze is definitely very good as well, being able to minus something by 15k and dual attack. So we're going to go in leader to leader, I would assume here. Michael may take it to a 25k, which I definitely think is a good choice. 25k is that awkward number where I have to use a few more cards than I really want to. But as I said, I do have 2 super combos in hand, so I didn't feel too bad. Looks like maybe we're just leaving it at a solid 20. We are going to use, though, the King Vegeta effect, right? We're going to do it for free. So what we're going to do is, now that's -10 and everything that swings is going to be -5k. So it means it protects our leader a little bit better. Perfect because as well we're down at 3 life, and we're just going to pitch that freezer anyway, which isn't the end of the world. So we are going to combo taking this to 15 just here. So this is the other good thing is if Michael wants to start putting damage through, he needs to overextend a little bit, right? Which is exactly what I want as well. I want him to overextend a bit. So that way next turn it's a little bit easier for me to try to kill him. And as I said, the Goku's a really good choice to do that in this deck. It goes very tall. Swing, dual attack, double strike, being at 2 life, also getting to rip a card from hand is absolutely huge. So we are taking it looks like to 20k because he would have been minus 10. We're going to super combo out quite easily and then just put that in the drop. Once again, can pick that up if we want to or if we need to. I think what Michael wants here, though, is probably a 17 and an 18 in the drop area again, right? But I have access to be able to kill whatever he plays, right? So if he puts a cell down on the board or 18 or whatever he wants to try to put down on the board, I have access to kill it. 18 is not really too scary to me, so I feel like that's fine. What I want to hit is one of the cells, right? And that way, if he plays a cell, you have to force him to play another cell. So we are going to swing 15 into leader here. Have the choice to negate if I want to. So we are on 15. He was thinking about the super combo, taking it to 25. Obviously, he goes down to 10. So taking it to 15. Looks like we're just leaving it at 15 because obviously it gets minus by the 5k on the swing from the King Vegeta. Having a look at what we can go into, very easily can do another 8 cost if we need. But I have a way to deal with that quite comfortably. So we are just going to super combo. Protect again. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it doesn't do unisons. I can't remember exactly what gets minused. I think it does do unisons if I remember right. But we are going to swing in a 16. It gets minus. It'll be an 11k, right? Because of the King Vegeta. So we do have to commit at least 1 card to it, to the swing, which is quite nice. So we are going to negate here. Grab ourselves a blocker. Just a little bit of extra protection here as well, I guess. Charismatic can't hit it as well, which is nice for us. So we do have dormants in hand. Looking at Michael's hand, we do have a super combo as well, which isn't too bad. I think we do also have a negate potentially in hand too. Just having to think what we want to play. Obviously, he wants to get as many cards as possible going into this next turn because his hand's getting a little bit smaller here. And we're a little bit higher. We do also have the Piccolo too, which is really nice here. The fact that we can actually swing in with double strike Piccolo too is really, really nice. He was considering whether he wants to go for the Vegeta. I think that minuses 3 markers and then has triple strike. But I do have a blocker on board, and also that's overextending a lot, so he's probably not going to kill the Jiren Unison here, but we'll see what he decides to go for. So gonna pay 1. Looks like we're going to go for our blocker here instead. So what we'll do is we can minus by 10 with Jiren, and then we're also going to hit the Goku in the window as well, right? And then we'll minus it by 15, so we kill it, and then we get to draw a card as well, which is quite nice. So the fact that we do get to just kill that straight up is kind of perfect for us. It means we don't have to deal with it next turn. Also got an extra 19k swing on the board just here, which is quite nice too. Has taken my hand down a decent chunk, though. He's got a decent grip in hand still. It's not perfect, but still a decent grip, so he does have the protection potentially for the next turn. Obviously still has Dormants live and still has Freezer Charismatic Villains live as well, which is kind of perfect for him. So we are going to charge a vanilla. Having a look what we got in the drop area. What can we grab if we want to? And we've got the number at least, so just counting, making sure we've got at least 21. get our draw, no mill, and then we just go the effect here, and we'll grab ourselves an 8 cost quite comfortably, right? So, knowing we potentially have dormants, what we want to do is we probably want to hit the 8 cost out onto the board. Don't really care about what else is out there except for the Jiren Unison, right? The Jiren Unison is quite important as well because that's a nice double strike swing. But everything else, if he frees the charismatics, it doesn't bother us. We just kill it. He doesn't get to kill this, but we need to make sure the swing that's going into the dormant potential is important, right? And that's why we want to swing with this first so we can rip a card from hand. So he potentially loses 3 cards from hand if he does go for a dormant as well. So we swing in our double strike. Also, sorry, I believe he's at 1 marker in his unison, so he can't even charismatic. So my apologies there. Forgot that he took his marker down by the 7 last turn. So it is 1 left, so we're pretty comfortable. We are going to homicidal clone here, though, instead. So taking the life. We're going to kill that, and then we're going to look at the hand quite comfortably. Find out what is in there, right? So pretty much what we do is we figure out what combo's there, and if we have any negates or anything like that going as well. So dormant, we've got Cell Zeno as well. Obviously can't grab Cell, and we've got another dormant. So there's no point taking a dormant because we've got another one to back it up. Have got a super combo though, live, which is quite nice, and have also got a 10k, right? So the super combo is probably the most taxing thing at this point. So there's no point taking dormants, as I said. There's 2 dormants, can't touch that. And that's not too bad. So we kind of figure out what the combo is in hand right now. Once we take all this away, we're just talking about whether it pluses 5k or 10. I think it's only during your turn it pluses 10. So do the maths. Make sure we know exactly what we need to be able to win. So we take away the super combo, and we should have 25, 35, 40. I think it's 55 is what we're at just here. And we've got a second swing with our big boy Goku just here. He hasn't dormant either, so we also have access to Jiren, and we have access to a Piccolo in hand as well. I know that from the last turn. But we are still swinging here. So this is the thing, is we can combo into this to try. Sorry, no, it wasn't negated. My apologies. It wasn't dormant potential. It wasn't negated completely. So no, that isn't happening. We do have another swing now, though. So if we want to, we can swing again. But we've got to make sure it's impactful once again. So we are going to dormant this time. So we're just going to dormant into dormant, pitching that. Obviously, we figured out what the maths is, and if we've got enough, that's the main thing. Have we got enough? We know we can't kill it or anything like that. Which should be enough, right? So 35, 45, 55, 65, 70k just here, right? And if we counted correctly, I think you can only reach 65, right? So there we go, guys. U7 taking that one. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please remember to subscribe, hit that bell to stay notified, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.